In life, we have mainly three resources: time, health, and money. Younger people have plenty of time and good health, which they are more than willing to exchange for money. Your time and your health, however, are going to develop into your most valuable resources as your life goes on and you continue to make this exchange. And eventually, you'll reach a point where working longer actually costs you more money than retiring. People mistakenly believe that we spend the majority of our time urging our subscribers to increase their savings rates. But in reality, we spend far more time attempting to persuade them that they have already beyond this threshold and should consider retiring. Perhaps you are in this situation as well. This is why I'm going to give you 6 factors why retiring right now might be a good idea. Welcome to the Wealth Builder Den, your way to financial freedom. We'll help you make good investments and informed financial decisions to build your wealth. Subscribe to the channel. We'll share investment tips and tricks on how to save money and becoming wealthy. Don't forget to click the notification bell to be updated. This will help you avoid wasting any more money. Now, let's get straight into the videos. Let's start with the first factor, which is time. We've already acknowledged that time may be your worst valuable resource right now, but I want to put that into context for you so you can understand just how priceless it is. I also want you to consider how you could use this approach in your life as we go along. Human life is represented by these squares by 90 years. This means 90 different seasons. Let's say you are 30 years old. The Office of National Statistics estimates that you have a 50-50 probability of living to see another 55 summers. Let's now measure the remaining amount of time for you regarding the activities you enjoy. Let's say you, on average, read 6 books yearly. Even if it seems like you could read an infinite number of books in the future, if you continue reading at your current pace, you might only read 330 additional books throughout your lifetime. Accordingly, only 330 of the millions of books currently in existence are going to get completely finished by you, with the remaining books being lost to the ages. Another example, let's say you enjoy going on hikes with your pals at least once a year, and you feel you can continue doing so until you're 60. You'll have 25 more opportunities to go hiking with your friends after that. Although it may seem like a lot when you consider the number of kilometers involved, once those 25 chances have passed, you cannot do it again whether you like it or not. This helps us understand how priceless each of these times really is. What about relationships though? Consider the case when you only see a few close friends once a year. Well, some of them reside far away, others are local. But for some reason, you just can't seem to make the time to meet together. Only around 50 more times will you get to see them if things continue this way. If it just lasts for a few hours each time, you could only have 100 or more hours left with some of those who you love. The thought of our parents, though, really, truly hits me about this. If both of your parents are still living and in good health, you're lucky. Even so, they are likely in their late 60s. Say that you only see each other once a month or even occasionally miss certain months. That's only 6 to 12 days out of 360 plus days a year. How many more days do you've got together while they are both still in good health? Perhaps 100 days more or less, we don't know. Or, if you think about it from a parent's point of view, you've probably already spent 90% of your time with your kids in person by the time they leave home. Others may only have 5% of that time left if that is the case. I would strongly advise you to do this even though it really is disheartening because it will help you determine what in your life is important to you and how much time you are at the moment devoting to it. And if it bothers you, that's excellent business because that means you'll probably appreciate those possibilities more and realize that you have complete control over the time you have remaining. And if you want to spend more time doing what you love with the people you love, take action rather than putting in extra years of work without recognizing how much it is truly costing you. Second factor, interest rates. You'll need to thoughtfully plan your cash flow once you reach retirement and begin living off your assets. This frequently entails a lot of extra money and safer investments like bonds. This was not a very appealing idea during the period of historically low interest rates. Fortunately, interest rates are greater currently than they have been in the previous 15 years, and only recently you could earn 4% on an easy access cash account, 5.5% on fixed-term deposits, and the highest annuity rates in several years to come. Of course, inflationary conditions must be considered while evaluating these rates, but the trend indicates that inflation will decline more quickly than rates. Therefore, it would be wise to start thinking about retiring right away. But what about the risk of a recession, inflation, and the dangers of artificial intelligence, you could be asking? Considering how uncertain the future seems, you might not feel convinced about retiring. This is why the third factor is the uncertainty of the future. It is and always has been the case. It's common to believe from reading the news that we are in the midst of one of history's most unstable times, with risks like we've never seen before lurking just around the corner. However, I can assure you that every retiree who has ever done so has had the exact same thought. This is due to the recency bias that makes us believe that current events and future risk are much more important than anything that has ever happened in the past. That does not negate the risk of the present, but even if we take a retrospective look over the last decade or so, it is evident that there has been a lot to be concerned about. We experienced a European debt crisis, US government shutdowns, financial crisis, trade disputes with China, COVID, etc. But none of these worries materialized, or they did so for a brief period of time. Additionally, there have been more severe crises, wars, and the fall of nations throughout the past 100 years. But over and over again, we witness how human creativity has triumphed against this unpredictability, and we continue to march upward. In the words of Mark Twain, "I've had a lot of worries in my life, most of which never happened." Given how much time we spend worrying about the future, you might assume that when we reflect on our lives, they are filled with a lot of dramatic occurrences and traumatic experiences that we have to endure. However, looking back, you see that the majority of these concerns never materialize, and the challenges you did encounter, you either conquered or came to terms with. Retirement is largely about learning to accept the unpredictability of the future and having confidence in your capacity to adapt. Why not carry out what needs to be done right away then? The fourth factor is artificial goals. There are so many factors that it seems impossible to calculate exactly how much you need to retire. What is your expected lifespan? What budget do you need? How will the stock market perform? That is why, rather than tackling the significant problem as a whole, we simply make artificial goals such as, "I'm going to retire when I'm 60. Consider yourself to be in a lot better place and to have everything figured out by the time you are 60. When you turn 60 though, you realize that you still don't have your life together and that your future is just as unpredictable as it has always been. Additionally, since 60 is just a number that is chosen without any real meaning, it is quite easy for it to change into 61, 62, or 63, and so forth. With regard to artificial financial goals, the same logic applies. You may have a target amount of assets in mind, and when you reach that amount, you may believe that you will finally be content and at peace because you will have enough. But when you do, it's likely that you'll discover that you're not happy and that you're still concerned about this or that, and that you'll simply replace that first artificial goal with a new, larger artificial one. When creating goals or resolving issues at work, you would never employ this strategy. What makes you think it would be a good idea to do it with one of your most crucial personal decisions? Your ability to do the necessary research to determine when you can afford to retire is being hindered by these unrealistic goals. The fifth factor is missing out on your prime years. It might not seem like a huge thing to put off solving a problem and continuing to work for only another year, but it is. According to statistics, if you are 55 years old right now, you have a 50-50 chance of living under through another 29 summers. And you have a 50-50 likelihood of spending another 22 summers as a married couple, assuming you were both the same age. How many of those summers, though, will you and your partner be in good health? These years are extremely valuable, and by delaying a problem's resolution for even an additional year, you can be giving up a significant amount of them. Sixth factor, your financial situation likely is much healthier than you think. This has two distinct components. The first is that you probably overestimate your projected retirement expenses, and the second is that you are probably overestimating the size of the portfolio of assets needed to generate the necessary amount of revenue. Let's start with expenditure. Assume you and your partner are 60 years old and that you have calculated your current annual need at $50,000 to maintain your standard of living. People frequently make the error of assuming that, after taking inflation into account, this amount of expenditure remains constant throughout retirement. If this is where the case and they anticipated living to the age of 85, they could expect to spend $1,250,000 during retirement. However, retirement expenditure often follows a convex trend, with larger spending in the beginning during the years when things are going well, and then less spending during the years when things are going slowly, until it comes back up when you must depend more on healthcare. As a result, their estimated lifetime spending may be less than they had anticipated, perhaps even less than $1 million. And if they both receive full state pensions, we can anticipate that $380,000 of this will already be paid. This means that only a considerably smaller percentage of the amount still has to be covered from their assets. Lastly, it's possible that you are underestimating the amount of assets required to provide that revenue. Now, I hope you guys learned some useful information from this video. We appreciate you for staying till the end. Let us know what you think in the comments section below. Kindly click the like, subscribe, and notification bell icons if you think this video will help you in your future financial decisions. Visit our channel for more financial knowledge, building your wealth, and investment tips and tricks videos that you don't want to miss out. Have a great day and see you in our next video.